I've continued to pick up key comics off of WhatNot, but it might be time to stop or at least cut back from certain sellers. Let's go over the comics I picked up from these 5 sellers and see if I should buy from them again. Hey everybody, this is Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we're going to go over comics I've been picking up from WhatNot over the last few weeks from a variety of sellers. In fact, it's 5 different sellers, and we're going to evaluate whether or not that I'm getting good value for what I'm buying. Am I getting the books that I think that I'm paying for? Are the grades what I think they should be? And obviously, because I'm asking this question, you already know that I sort of have a feeling like some of the books that I'm getting are definitely not what I was expecting. But how bad is the situation? We're going to go over these sellers, we're going to go over these books, and we're going to kind of ask the question on each one of these, am I going to go back to these sellers again? So before we get into the books though, guys, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of my episodes that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. So that's enough of that stuff. Let's get into the books. All right, guys, so the very first dealer that we're going to talk about today is Hell Destroyer Comics. This is a seller that I've never bought from before, and I happened to stumble across his channel one day when I was going through browsing different channels to see what Bronze Age and possibly Silver Age books were being sold at that particular moment, and I stumbled onto his channel. They were doing a free giveaway at that point, so I stayed. There wasn't a lot of people in the room at that point, and normally I find that you have a pretty good chance to win something if you're in a room where there's very few people. There are some channels that have hundreds of viewers and hundreds of buyers, and that's a little, obviously the odds are not in your favor. So I stayed on that channel, and I remember that day because I couldn't really hear the show that well. Whatever I was doing, it was very noisy, and I wasn't really listening to the show as much as I was just kind of watching it. And it ended up I won that auction, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to respond because I want them to know that I'm actually not a bot. I am there. I'm actually a person, everything. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. I messaged on the message board and WhatNot, and I ended up winning. I'm not sure which one of these, which book it was here, but I think it was this one. This was Superman Lost. This is issue number 2, and it was just a free giveaway. Nothing I was particularly interested in, but hey, free is free. So I ended up winning that, and I stayed on the channel for a little bit to see if there was anything of interest because, well, I'd already won something, so I might as well see if there was anything of interest there. Well, there really wasn't at that particular time. And then he started talking about one of the books. I think he was going to give it away, and it was a book that I've actually spotlighted on this channel already here a couple episodes ago that I picked up at my last little comic book show I went to. In fact, I got this book before I got that one at that show. And I picked this up only because he was talking about possibly having it and possibly giving it away. And hey, let me show it to you because I ended up buying the book because after I won this, I said, oh, you have that book you're talking about right now. I'd love to have it. And it was this right here. It is Shanna the She-Devil number 4, a book from my childhood. If you guys follow the channel at all, you know I just spotlighted this book a few weeks ago. And it is from 1973. It was the very first Shanna book I ever had. Obviously, I love this book. It's the second one I've picked up in the last month. This is not a great copy. It's not as bad as my original copy that I still have that I read the covers off of, but it's still a really good copy. And I think he ended up selling it to me for like $5 or $6. It wasn't that expensive. And honestly, I didn't care at that point. I'd already won one of these auctions, and I figured, okay, just throw this in practically. I'll buy something from you, which is all I ended up doing. And love this issue. This is the first appearance of Mandrill, I believe, one of Shanna's villains at the time. And I think in the next issue, it introduces Mandrill's partner in crime, Necra, and that was all part of that Secret Empire storyline that ran across Marvel 2-in-1 and in Daredevil. And I always loved Shanna in these books, and I'll admit she was a early comic crush of mine in 1973. I mean, 1973, this was June of 1973. What am I? I'm not even 6 years old at this point when I was reading this book. That's, I look back at how young I was when I was reading some of these stories, and these weren't necessarily just children's stories. These weren't your Donald Ducks or Richie Rich stories. I mean, these were pretty sophisticated stories at the time. But I always remember loving this cover. This is by John Romita. You've got Ross Andru doing the interior artwork. And just a childhood favorite. This is not a great copy. This is just a reader copy at this point. So I was real happy to have that. But then the interesting thing that happened in the show was I didn't get into a big conversation or anything. But he ran a second auction or a second giveaway not long after he did the first one. And guess what? I won that too. And oh my God, everybody that was in that room at that moment was just blowing up. It's like, what the F happened right here? The same guy won both auctions. People were screaming that, oh, it's a bot, it's not a real person. And like, okay, I'm having a conversation here, guys. I am really here. But I was happy to get this. This is a Deceased. What is this? Deceased War of the Undead Gods, #7. Not really a book I cared about, but hey, I enter every free giveaway I go into in any of these WhatNot shows. You never know, because you can win stuff. I win stuff all the time. Sometimes it's pretty good. Sometimes it's just a reader copy. But regardless, I ended up buying that Shanna book mostly because I had won both of these auctions. And I felt a little bad, to be honest, but I did like that Shanna book. So that was pretty cool. This is a channel that I haven't bought anything else from since, but I do go on that channel occasionally. I actually enjoy his show. The person who's doing the show is very entertaining. So I will continue to go back to this channel, and if something of interest pops up, I may bid on that again. So this seller is okay in my book at this moment. He didn't have a lot for me to rag on it or anything at this point, but we'll go back to this channel at some point. All right, so the second seller that I ended up going to is someone that I've bought from before, and the books I've got here are actually over 2 different auctions over the last few weeks. They're pretty good books and definitely fit, not all of them, but definitely fit into that 2023 goals list of books I'm looking for. And we got some mixed results here. So let's talk about Zenitram Comics. And as I said, I've bought from them before, and I happened on one of the shows, and I'll tell you, I ended up in the first auction. The first 2 books I got from that auction are some pretty big books. And let me just start with it right here. I picked up a really nice copy of Incredible Hulk #340. And I see the price tag on there. In fact, I didn't pay that price. It was definitely lower than that price. This is a really good book. I want to get this as a 9.8 at some point. I had a couple copies in my PC that I had as 9.6s, and I think I ended up selling those. And I think I've got a roll in there someplace that I was meaning to clean and press, but I'm always looking for really spectacular copies on this. And this is one, as I said, I had bought from the seller before, and as he was describing this was a really nice copy. And I was like, okay, guys, it's a little expensive. Well, not for what I paid. Normally, you'll be paying at least this price or a lot higher. You go to shows all the time. This is a $200 book, $225. You get people who are trying to obviously squeeze even more money out of it. And I said, okay, let's take a chance and kind of trust the seller. And the books I'd got in the past were really good. They were just the way that he described them. And I said, okay, let's take a chance. And honestly, it's a really good book. There are 2 little spine ticks over here. It will preclude her from getting a 9.8. But then again, I didn't buy it based on what he said that this would be a 9.8. He didn't promise that. It was just a really, really good copy. And it is. It just won't quite get there. And this is one of those books that even if I get it graded, if I can pull a 9.6 or even a 9.4, it's actually going to be worth the money to go ahead and get it graded. I may not hold on to it at that grade. But it may be worth it to actually make a little bit more money out of this and then to resell it. It won't be a big profit or anything, but I definitely won't get stuck with it. 9.6s right now are going for fair market value about $400. 9.4, $280. God forbid you get a 9.8. It's a $1,500 comic book these days. It's really, this book keeps going up right now, and that's really good sign for the market. We see a lot of people talking about the market being down right now, and this is one of those books that just seems to be defying that right now. Although the raws in this condition seem the price has been coming down, but the graded, honestly, feel like they've been going up a little bit. So that was not a bad buy, but the other book I got was in a little bit worse condition than I had expected, but it's still really good. Now, this is a 2023 goals book, and it is very recognizable because it is pretty hot right now. Well, at least when I'm doing the filming for this. By the time you see this, it's going to be about a week or week two old. I don't know if the news is going to hold, but everybody's talking about this book right here, X-Men number 130, the first appearance of Dazzler, and everybody's by this point has already heard that Taylor Swift is being talked about to play Dazzler. And I don't know if that's going to lead to anything, but all of a sudden this is a super hot book again. And I'm trying to get that 9.6 or 9.8 on all of these John Byrne X-Men. That is the 2023 goal right there. I've got a 9. I think a 9.0 or a 9.2 of this. I've got another roll in there that was a failure at a 9.6. It was a pre-screen that failed. And I got this, and I thought it was going to be a little bit better than it was, but it's not. This was definitely over-described. It has a few spine ticks down here, and that bottom edge, bottom corner is a little rough. Corners are really nice, though. But that top corner up there is really soft, and I wouldn't say blunted, but it's definitely a huge color rub up there. I dare say this is not even an 8.5 at this point. So that was a disappointment. So I've got a mixed bag from this particular order from Zenitram Comics. But then I turned around. What did I do? Oops, I'm making a mess there. What did I do? I ended up buying again from him last week on a sale. And this right here is right up my alley. Another major book for me for my goals list for this year. It's not a super expensive book. I mean, this is an expensive book if you can get that 9.6, 9.8. This book, well, I got two different ones here, but it's part of the same goal. And they're not overly expensive. Well, let me just show you the books. I ended up buying 5 different comics in this sale, and 2 of them were this right here. It is Spectacular Spider-Man. This is issue 132. And if you guys recognize this, this is part of the Kraven's Last Hunt. This is part 6, the very end of it. You've got the Mike Zeck artwork right there. And I'm trying to get a 9.8 run of all 6 issues from that. You had 2 issues from Web of Spider-Man, 2 issues from Amazing Spider-Man, and then you had 2 issues from Spectacular Spider-Man. Right now I'm setting at the 50% mark. I've got the 2 Web of Spider-Mans. I've got issue 294 of Spider-Man. But I'm still lacking on the 2 Spectacular Spider-Mans, and I'm lacking on issue number 294 of Spider-Man. But he had 2 sets. He was selling this as a set of Spectacular Spider-Man 132 and of this right here, Spider-Man 294. And let me show you what else I picked up right here. He had 2 sets of each of these. And so I ended up with 2 copies of this and 2 copies of this, all direct. And then on top of that, he had a new stand of 294. And I'm going, this is right now becoming my white elephant. I don't want to just go out there and buy that book. You can see it sometimes get down below that $400 mark, but I'm trying not to spend $300 plus. I mean, trying to get that 9.8 on this issue alone. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to find the raw that I can get graded. Of course, the funny part is I keep spending money on this particular issue, and I see some people, they are trying to charge. I saw one dealer at the Heroes Con. He literally had this book at $250, a raw copy of this, and I'm like, I couldn't even talk to the guy. The books he had were really nice, but are you effing kidding me? There's no way. This is a book that a lot of people will charge anywhere from $25 to $50. And if they really, really think it's a pristine copy, maybe $75. Well, I don't even want to pay $75 for it. But anyway, Xenotram had all four of these, or all five of these issues. And I should have just, when he initially said, I'll do them as a lot, I should have jumped quicker, but I didn't. And I ended up doing two different auctions. And then that third one, he went ahead and ran the newsstand, because I asked him, said, just go ahead and run the newsstand. I'll take it too. I'll take the whole lot, and I'll take my chances. And kept my fingers crossed. Were these going to be candidates? And honestly, the newsstand is pretty good, but it's got a little tick right there. I don't know if it's going to hit that 9.6, but 9.6 is honestly on this, and they've come down. They've come down a lot. It's $100 fair market value. And you got to get that 9.8. Then you're talking $350 plus book at that point. The Spectacular Spider-Man issue, let's see, where is that? Both of these, I think I'm going to have maybe one of these maybe have a chance, and I might have one of the news or the directs on this might stand a chance. I don't know. We'll get them in the shop and give them a really good evaluation. But this right here, the Spectacular Spider-Man, $210, 9.8. It's almost to the point where if you found it for $150, you might just want to pick up a 9.8 already graded instead of keep buying issues. That might be my strategy on that. 9.6 is fall off the cliff, though. $60. It's not worth my time. If there's any defects on here at all that I cannot get out, we will not be sending this in to CGC. We'll just keep it raw. We may try to sell it and just kind of recoup some of the money. But here we go. We've got a pretty decent seller. And the question comes down on him. Am I getting my value on some of these? I think you can tell I'm seesawing, I'm wishy-washy on this one right here. I think that the Incredible Hulk issue was really good. I think that was a pretty good deal. I think the X-Men book was, honestly, that's a bit of a miss. I'm probably more upset on that one than in the other ones. These, I think, are actually pretty much as he described. Again, we're not talking about books as he's describing as a 9.8 candidate, sure thing, anything like that. These are pretty much as described. So overall, fairly positive on this. I just think that you've got to really pay attention when you're watching a YouTube show. Don't be distracted. You can swipe the comments off of the screen when a lot of the dealers are showing the comic book up close. When they take the comic book and they take it up to the camera and they run it by and show you the spine, they show you the corners and everything. I mean, it's the best you're going to get. And you've got to take the time to listen to them, to watch the screen as best you can. And that's probably the biggest fault that I'm having these days is I'm not paying attention. I'm watching a YouTube show as I'm doing something else. I mean, for God's sakes, I was literally a week ago, I'm on the tractor mowing the lawn, and I keep stopping to see what one of the dealers is selling, and I'm buying stuff, and I'm going, what are you doing? You know you shouldn't be doing that. But this was a pretty good dealer. Overall, I think they've got some really good books. I just don't know if he's going to be having these 9.8 candidates that I really, really am looking for. Diamonds in the rough. Well, not even the rough, but just diamonds. And sometimes you can get good deals. So it's a dealer I'll keep on the list, but I may slow down on this one a little bit. All right, guys, so the third dealer that we've got today, and before I go on, I want to say that there's actually only 4 dealers here. I was thinking there were 5, but the other one, the one I just talked about, Xenotram Comics, actually had 2 different orders. That's why I was thinking there were 5 dealers, but there's only 4. So this is the third. This is TBC Comics out of Crofton, Maryland. This is a local comic book shop for me. The TBC stands for To Be Continued. So it is a pretty nice shop. The guys are really good. They've got a good little community down there. It's a real comic book hangout, and they do a great WhatNot show every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Eastern. And that's where I kind of discovered them, was on that. In fact, I remember discovering them, I think it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I had been doing a little bit of a tour in the area, in this Baltimore area, of some comic book shops. And as I'm driving down, I decided to go down to Crofton, Maryland and visit the shop. And I didn't realize I walked in as they're doing their YouTube show right in the middle of the shop. So I couldn't even take a look at half the shop because they had the camera set up right there. But I've continued to buy from them over the last 6 months, 7 months. Well, what am I kidding? Since the beginning of the year. And I've felt like a lot of stuff has been really good. Keith, who does most of the shows on there and does most of the talking, he does a really good job. When he says this is a minty copy, generally I find that their descriptions are really good. If it's a really pristine copy, then I find that they're pretty much spot on. They may miss maybe a micro tick here or there, but generally their descriptions are really good. But in the case of a couple of these books that I've got here, at least one of them, well, 2 of them, again, maybe I should be paying more attention to the shows, but there's one in particular that I think if they get into that mid-grade type of range, I don't know if they're the best evaluators of the condition. I think that the one book, I'll show it to you here, it's a great book to have. It's the first time I've ever owned it. Maybe that's why I jumped in. But I regret it. I think it was maybe a little over described, but I don't blame them as much as I blame myself. Again, I should be paying more attention when I'm listening to the shows. In fact, this is the show where I was kind of on the tractor and I stopped halfway through the lawn and it's like, oh, what book are they running now? And I pull it up and I literally turn the tractor off and I bid on a book. And that's kind of what I did. So this one's on me. I can't blame them quite as much, but I am disappointed in the one particular book. We'll get to it. But let's just go through this. This is actually a couple different orders over the last couple weeks that I saved up on here. And let's just start with this one. This is actually a really, really nice copy of Superman Batman Annual number 4. And I remember them describing this as the first appearance of Batman Beyond in continuity. And I did not think that that was the case. But it is, I think, in fact, I looked and it doesn't say it on any of the CGC labels. I know that some early 9.8 or CGC sales on eBay, it did list this as the first appearance of the Batman Beyond in continuity. So maybe at some point there was a question on this, but right now I don't think this was the first appearance, but I think it's definitely an early appearance. So still a really good book. I want to say that I saw fair market value on this right now is about $180, but I've seen sales up to $300 on this. So I think no matter what, I think I've got a good deal on this one. I didn't pay a lot for this book, but I think that their description on the show might have been in error. So don't know, but I still think there's enough value in this book that it's okay. All right, so the next book is the book that I kind of referenced before, where I said I was sitting on the tractor and I'm trying to watch the sale, and because they do have really good books at the shop, and this was all on me. The book was not in the condition I thought it was when I was sitting there watching the show. I'd have to turn off the tractor and I would watch the show and I'd like, oh, I got to have this book. I think it's a really good price. And I definitely didn't pay enough attention at the time. And I'm looking at the book and I'm going, oh, I can't believe I bought this. I should have saved. I really wanted this book and that's why I got it. And it's a great book to have in the collection. And anyway, it's a lot rougher than I expected. Let me just show it to you. It is a copy of Fantastic Four, Annual number 6. This is the first appearance of Franklin Richards, first appearance of Annihilus. just a great spec comic. We're expecting to see the Fantastic Four pretty soon, and you know that this is a book. They want to use the negative zoom. They want to use Annihilus. They want to have Franklin Richards. It is just a great book to have. But I really wish I had held out for a better copy, and I'm having buyer's regret on this one a lot. So it's a lot rougher than I expected. I don't think I'm going to end up sending it in and get it graded. I think if you get this one graded, I think that I would end up probably losing some money or coming close to maybe making a little bit of money. I don't even know if it's worth the time, to be honest with you. So it's going to be nice to have this book for at least a little bit, because I am going to open it up and actually read it. Now, I've read that story in plenty of collected editions, but it's always fun to open up old comic books and read them in their original comic book. You get that smell, that aroma from these old books, and you see the ads and you see the page placement where the art and the ads are and everything. And I think that's a really neat experience that you just don't get by reading an omnibus or a collected trade paperback or even reading digital. You don't get any of those experiences. And that's just something that I think I'll take advantage of before I probably just try to sell this as a raw at some point and replace it with a better copy at some point. But we got more books from TBC here. And again, it's a little bit more of a mixed bag. It's not always the case. I'm not always on a tractor trying to buy comics from WhatNot, but it does illustrate the fact that I was definitely being distracted at the time and should definitely pay attention more when I'm watching these shows. The same auction, and these books all come from TBC over the course of several auctions over the last few weeks. But the one where I got Fantastic Four, I also got this one too. This is Avengers number 80. This is the very first appearance of Red Wolf, the first American Indian in Marvel Comics. And one of my favorite issues of all time. It is by the great John Buscema and Tom Palmer. Roy Thomas did the writing. And what makes this book special to me is that I actually own 2 of the original art pages from this book. And just absolutely prizes. They are the prize of my collection. And I don't ever see myself parting with those unless things get really tough. But I was hoping, and this is one that I did pay just a little bit more attention to, and when I was listening to the auction, and this one definitely ended up a little bit rougher than I hoped. I was looking for a copy that would kind of reach that 9.0 to 9.4 range, and it's a little rougher than they were describing. And again, this kind of goes back, it's not as bad as that Fantastic Four annual, but I don't know if they describe mid-grade books very well. I think they overestimate, I wouldn't say overgrade necessarily, because they're not necessarily sticking for the grade, but I think they overestimate the condition. And that was the case on this one. This one right here, I think you'd be lucky if you got it graded after a nice clean and press, I think it would probably end up as a 7.5. Yeah, I think you'd be lucky to get an 8.0. So kind of left with that. That one left a little bit of a bad taste as well. So that was not a good week for TBC, in my opinion, on these books. But I did have some other orders. Now this was the last one, the most recent one I got from TBC. In the previous ones, I had picked up this. They had a 2-book lot, but I really bought it just for the first issue here. It is Astonishing X-Men. This is number 6. And they included number 3. Now, number 3 is not a key at all, although it does have this beautiful Wolverine cover. The key in this early Astonishing X-Men run was this issue right here, and this is the first appearance of Abigail Brand. I don't know if she was a leader of S.W.O.R.D. or just an agent of S.W.O.R.D., but this was her first appearance, and it's a pretty good classic book. I had this on my PC. In fact, I got this graded. I got a 9.6 on it, and I sold it at a pretty good time here well over a year ago. But in the same cases, whenever I sell a book, I always seem like I want to get it back in my PC. And this book right here ended up, I thought again, here's another case. Their description, oh, this is a minty copy, minty copy. Well, it's pretty good, but a couple little ticks over there that going to knock it down again. It may end up being a 9.6. I don't know. It would need a clean and press. Obviously, all these books need a clean and press. Guys, you should, every book, except for some of the very brand new moderns coming right off the stand when you buy them, most books are going to need some sort of clean and press just to guarantee that 9.8 or that is high grades. There's definitely, pretty much every book that goes out gets a clean and press. It's very rare that I don't do that. And this book right here definitely needs a little help. So not going to be that 9.8. It may sit on my PC. In fact, I may have to sit and wait for that book to come up in value again. I sold 9.6 at a pretty good value. Right now, 9.6 has a fair market value of $44. I mean, that's really dropped from when I sold mine. 9.8s are around $180. And I know that's down as well, but 9.6s, boy, that just drops off. And that's why this makes this tough. When you buy this and you think you're getting one thing and you end up getting something else that's kind of less than worthless, to be honest. Anyway, again, not a good buy. Not a good buy. And again, this is probably more on me. All right, let me put these books down on the side. And I got a few more. And this was a third week of getting books from TBC. And let me just show you what I've got here. I ended up picking up this. This was, I don't know, just some unknown comic. Do you guys even recognize this? I don't know. This is just an everyday common comic book. Of course, I'm kidding. This is the issue 8 of Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars and the origin of Spider-Man's black costume, who will eventually become Venom. And this is the key in this 12-issue maxi series. Mike Zeck goodness here. And not a bad price that I paid for this, but it's got a few more defects than I thought it did. Again, here we go again. Now, I will take some responsibility, but I'm sitting there watching the show and I'm going, I don't know. They didn't describe as many ticks as I see on this right here. I dare say this thing may not even, if you got this graded, I don't know if it would even grade out to an 8.5. I don't know if it'd be worth getting it graded. 8.5s, right now, fair market value is about 200. So the answer is yes. And I think you'd have to do that maybe just to get your money back, to be honest. It may be worth it just to sell it raw and let somebody else deal with it. I don't know. I have a little bit of a disappointment in this one as well. Then you can see that I like these guys a lot. In fact, they've got some really good books there. They set up of all the shows in the area, and you can find some really good books. I think with TBC, I think it's one of those where I think I'm going to be better off buying books from them directly so I can look at the books in person. I may have to swear off of their YouTube shows. But they kind of redeemed themselves with these last two books. Now, in this book and the last two all came in one order, and these were really good. This right here, I've never owned this book, and to be honest, I wish I had this book about a month ago. It is Sandman #1 from DC Comics. This is Neil Gaiman's book, and I wish I had this a month ago because this is a really nice copy. And I would have got this thing ready. I would have shipped it off to CGC instantly and had it for their Neil Gaiman signing. As it turns out, I ended up sending in a facsimile of this to get signed along with one other book. And we'll reveal that down the line when those eventually come back in. But I would have had that signed hands down. Now, this is a great book. It has got some super value. 9.8s on this, fair market value right now is about over $1,100. 9.6 is $350. I'm going to tell you, I didn't even come close to paying that kind of price on this. Even a 9.4, I think, is in a $200 range. This is a book that's going to go to CGC sooner than later because the value on this is just fantastic. So This was definitely just a fantastic book, and they described it to a T. This was a minty, great book. I couldn't be happier with that. But they had one more book in this order, and I didn't order this. And they threw this in, and I'm sitting there wondering, did they throw this in because I overpaid on that Secret Wars book? That's kind of what my first reaction was, because this is a really good book. And the condition on this is really good. In fact, this is a book I would have bid on at seeing the condition on this. Let me show it to you. It is Captain America number 241. This has got this classic Frank Miller cover. The meeting, I don't know, is this the first meeting of Punisher and Captain America? I don't know. But this book right here, and it's a newsstand too, from January of 1980. And man, it has got some big value on this. I mean, this was a freebie that they gave me, and this is in fantastic condition. 9.6s on this. In fact, there are no 9.8s. I went to Go Collect to get my information, so I didn't go to the census on CGC. But at least there hasn't been any recent sales of a 9.8 newsstand on Go Collect. So the highest one that they've got with the recent sale is $240 as a 9.6. 9.8 direct, though, has had a recent sale in the last year, a couple of years even, for $625. And I'm going, that's a really nice freebie. So I'm left with this. What do I do with TBC? I love these guys. I think they have great books. I think in certain cases they have overrated their books, and in some cases they were just spot on. It's kind of a mixed bag. Again, I'll go back to I think I'm going to have to spend more time just buying from them directly at shows, or go down to the shop in Crofton, Maryland. And in fact, I'm going to take this opportunity right now that they're going to be hosting a comic book swap meet in, I believe it's in September 24th. It should be a Sunday. If the 24th is not a Sunday, I got to double check on that. But it's that Sunday, and they're going to be hosting a comic book swap meet put on by the DNV Comic Collectors Group Facebook group out of Northern Virginia. And this is my chance to say that I'm going to be there. This is my buddy Jason's group, and it is the largest collectors group, comic collectors group in this area, in this Baltimore, Washington area. They've got, I think, well over 500 members now, and this is the third swap meet that they will be hosting. This will only be my second one that I could attend. They were having one on one of my trips away that I missed that apparently was really good. So I look forward to going down to TBC to take part in the swap meet, and that should be a really good time. And I hope I get to see you guys there. If any of you guys who watch the channel are there, definitely stop by and say hi to me. I'll definitely have some books with me as well. But there's my plug for the day. Jason, there you go, buddy. Anyway, TBC's a really good shop, and I would encourage you guys, watch their shows on 5 o'clock Eastern on WhatNot. I just may pull back from that a little bit, and just I'll check those guys out in person because they are local to me. All right, so the last seller I've got for you today from WhatNot is someone I've bought from before, and it's someone that you guys know. If you watch my channel, I know you watch this guy's channel. This is from Very Gary Comics. And what's funny was he wasn't even hosting his show on WhatNot in this particular night. It was some of the other guys from the northeastern area. I'm not even sure who was on there, but he wasn't even hosting his own show in this particular episode. But they were still selling his books. So that was pretty cool. Maybe they were selling his books through his channel. I don't know. Regardless, I got some good books, and I'm going to show you what I picked up. First off was Daredevil number 188. This has got this great Frank Miller Black Widow cover. I love this cover. In fact, when I was first getting some of my Frank Miller comics signed back in the day, and I eventually got Frank Miller too, but I started getting this signed because I don't know what it was. I always loved this cover, but I ended up getting Klaus Janson. I got Jim Shooter. I got Denny O'Neil, who did the editing, and I finally, a year ago, was able to get Frank Miller himself to sign a copy. It's not the nice minty copy that I would really like, but it is a really nice copy. Got a couple spine ticks, but that one isn't very good. But I went ahead and picked up this. This was a real minty copy right here. This has got some surprising value at 9.8. Now, I didn't write down any of the values for you for this today, but I just kind of wanted to have a really nice copy in my PC because, like I said, the one I've got, it's my personal copy that I had when it first came out. It wasn't in the best shape, but it's still in really good shape, but it's signed, and this is a much better condition, so I just wanted to add a roll. The next book, I think I ended up getting this graded out of my PC, and I ended up selling it because it was a 9.8 and it was good value. But again, I'm getting a book, put it back in the PC. I may do step and repeat. I may step and repeat, get it graded. I may sell it again. I don't know. But this is X-Men 244, Marks of SD artwork. You got the first appearance of Jubilee. And right now, a 9.8 still go for about $260. And I'm not sure if that's what I got for when I sold mine. But I don't mind stepping, as I said, step and repeat. Wash and repeat. Wash and rinse. Now, is that what it is? Rinse and wash? No, what is it? I can't remember. Anyway, great book to have. I didn't pay a lot for this when I bought this. And good to have it back in the PC. We'll get it graded again, and we'll see what we do on that one. And then the last two books, I bought as a lot. They were selling them together, but I really bought it for the second of the two issues. And it's going to be a project piece. And I keep looking for a absolute 9.8 gem on this particular issue because I want to get it signed by multiple creators. And I want to get it graded by CGC. And I'm struggling because it's got a beautiful white cover and it looks great, but the back has a black cover and it ends up picking up spine ticks really bad. And let me just show you what they are. They are Fantastic Four 347, but more importantly, 348. And I bought this for this issue right here, 348. You've got the first appearance as together of the new Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Grey Hulk, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider. And what I want to do is, this is Art Adams, cover and interiors. Al Milgrom did some of the inking on the inside, and you've got Walt Simonson doing the storytelling. And all three are going to be at Baltimore Comic-Con, and I'm going to, my thought is if I can get a really minty copy of this, a 9.8, I don't want to say for sure, but one that really could be a 9.8. I want to get all three of them signed. I want to get it CGC'd. I want that as a piece of my PC. I don't know if this is going to meet that. It does. I thought I could see a little bit of a spine tick, maybe two over here in this black holding line around the spine. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a really minty copy before we get to the Comic-Con this year. In fact, all three of those creators were up at Terrific-Con, and I had almost sent a copy I had earlier to a facilitator who was going to be up there, and I was going to have them do the work for me at this time. And I pulled that book out. The front of it looked great, and then I opened it, turned it over, and I looked on the back in that black area, and it had a couple spine ticks. I'm like, oh crap! I don't even have enough time to do what I wanted to do. I would have gladly paid the facilitator to go do all that work for me, because now the idea is to go to Baltimore Comic-Con. I'll do it all myself with CGC. And honestly, I'll be honest, I did that. I did this whole thing down at at Heroes Con, going with CGC. And it took 2 days of standing in line and waiting for witnesses. And it was dragging out. And the thought of just being able to give your book to a facilitator, here, take my book, go get these artists signed, and then submit it for me. That's fine. Just go do that. I'd be willing to pay for it in that case. But I couldn't get the book in time for Heroes Con, and with Baltimore Comic-Con coming up, I don't know if there's going to be any facilitators going to be there, because CGC will be on hand. And if it's anything like Heroes Con, there wasn't a lot of facilitators available down there with CGC doing that kind of work. So we'll see. I really don't feel like standing in CGC's line waiting for a witness, and then they go stand in 3 different lines for 3 different creators. And it's not going to be short lines. I mean, Walt's line is always takes forever. Al Milgram won't be a problem. I'm sure Art Adams, who has, I think this will be the first time he's ever been at Baltimore Comic-Con, will be super in demand, and I'm sure that line will just take forever as well. So I'm not looking forward to that part of it. But in the end, if it turns out that this is not a CGC candidate, I will probably just get Art Adams to sign it and kind of be done with it. I may just do it and get all 3 of them signed and just keep it as a raw at that point. I don't know. We'll see. But point of the video today was to talk about all of these WhatNot sellers and whether I'd be going back to them. Very Gary is an interesting thing. He sells so many books, but like a lot of YouTubers who send a lot of books into CGC to make a profit, you kind of have to ask yourself in a case like this, why didn't he take these books and send them in? Is what he is selling the leftovers from books where he doesn't think he can get the top grades and be able to sell for a profit? Is he just selling off the raws because he knows there's a defect that these books won't meet that 9.8 or the grade that he expects? That's kind of going through my head right now. When you see sellers like him or who is it? It's Erod. Was it 212? Am I getting that right? Erod does his own pressing, and he you can hire him to do your comic book pressing. If he's selling books, which he does on WhatNot, just like Very Gary, why are they selling those books? Why aren't they just sending them in the CGC and getting those top grades if these books are so good? I have to wonder about that a little bit. But my experience with Very Gary's books has been, most of them have been really good. So I will continue going back to Very Gary occasionally to find some decent books. I know I got the first appearance of Cable in New Mutants. That issue, what is that? Issue 87. That's a really, really nice copy. In fact, I sent that book in after cleaning and pressing it to the Rob Liefeld signing at CGC. So I look forward to getting that book back eventually. Well, hopefully we'll get that 9.8, but we'll see. Anyway, my recommendation is definitely check out Very Gary's shows. You definitely have some really good books on there. It's just I have a little bit of suspicion that the books aren't necessarily the best books. I think he's saving those best books and sending them in the CGC for his own profit. And that's nothing wrong with that, but it kind of begs the question is, like, are we just getting leftovers when he does shows? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'm not accusing anybody. But anyway, that is the last seller that I ended up buying from in this segment today. And hopefully you guys enjoyed all of this, all these books. Some really good books here. And I guess my final assessment is Very Gary, I'm going to continue to go back to. Occasionally, I'll just have to watch which books he really has and see if what he's selling for is a good value. TBC, I'm going to probably not go to their YouTube show, their WhatNot show as much, but I will try to do them in person. Zenitram Comics, I think I'll go back to, but I will be a little bit hesitant on some of the bigger books right now. I think some of their books are really good. That Hulk was really good. It just wasn't perfect. That's on me a little bit. And then the other seller, the first seller, was Hell Destroyer Comics, and I'll definitely give him a shot because I didn't buy enough to really get a good sense and as to the condition of all of his books. So too new to tell. It's to be determined on that. But I will continue to go back to his channel. Zenitram, I will kind of watch, but I will be a little hesitant now because the books were really good, but they just weren't quite good enough. I don't know. I'm being real picky, guys. This could be on me. I don't know. But let me know what you think about these books and what my thoughts are about these sellers in the comment section below. All right, guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I had a lot of fun showing off these books and going over these WhatNot dealers. I think you guys should try and give these guys each a try on WhatNot. Don't go off my experience on this as much, because I've pretty much admitted that a lot of this is on me. I'm not paying quite as enough attention when I'm watching these shows. So I suggest give these guys a shot. You're going to find some good books, and I'd love to hear about your experience with them. Again, you can always leave me a comment in the comment section if you've bought from any of these guys. I'd be curious to see what your experience is like. But before I go, if you're ever interested in any of the books I have on my channel, whether they're raw or graded, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. And you can check out what I currently have for sale by going to my eBay store or my Shortbox page. I've got both of those links listed below in the description. So if you're ever interested in anything, just reach out. But I'm out of here. I'm extremely tired. I've rambled way too long. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next week for the next episode. And remember, guys, every comic has a story.